Hello everyone, I am Dr. Anupama Prakash Paul from KNBC College, Kurdwadi, Maharashtra. Today we are going to discuss on the topic of discourse analysis. This topic is prescribed for the BA third year students of English. So let us study what is discourse analysis. Under this topic we will cover the three parts such as mode of the discourse, the tenor of the discourse and the domain of the discourse. So let us move forward. First we will see what is discourse analysis. The definition, it can be expressed here such as it is a general term for number of approaches to analyze written, spoken or any other forms. The definition given by Brown and Yueh is, it is a linguistic approach to the analysis of discourse. According to Stubbs, it is the language used in social context. Now, after discussing the definition of discourse analysis, we will see the parts of discourse analysis. The topic, it covers three main parts such as, in the first part we will see what is the mode and the types of mode. In the second part we will discuss what is tenor and what are the types of tenor along with their features. And in the last part we will discuss what is domain and what are the different types of domain along with the examples. So let us move towards our first part of this topic, that is the mode of the discourse. First of all, we will see what is mode. The definition, it can be explained. It is the form of the discourse which explains the structural features of the discourse. You can say here that it is any kind of discourse which can be termed as the mode of the discourse. There are two types of discourse such as written mode and spoken mode. We can say here the spoken mode is generally which refers to the spoken discourse where spoken language is used, and in the written discourse generally the language it is used in a written form. So you can differentiate between a spoken mode and a written mode. Now let us see what are the features of spoken mode and what are the features of written mode. How we can differentiate between the spoken mode and the written mode. First we will see the features of spoken mode. There are some sort of features with the help of which we can identify that this is a spoken mode. The first important feature of spoken mode is inexplicitness. Here this feature, it is at the first preference because inexplicitness, it refers to the use of body language, and we know that in face-to-face communication what is the role of body language. Here this particular feature, it refers to the body postures, gestures, facial expressions and body movements. So we can say here in face-to-face communication as well as in spoken communication we have to use inexplicitness. So this is the prominent feature of spoken discourse. The second feature, that is the presence of informal language in spoken mode. We can say here in spoken communication we mostly use informal language. That is colloquial language that we prefer to use in communication. The third feature is repetitiveness. Most of the time, the speaker unknowingly, unwantedly are using the repetitions in the speech. We know that the people, they have the habit to use again and again the same words, which are mere repetitions. They do not have any meaning, they do not want to convey any message, though we are using these repetitions. So this is one of the important feature that we have to consider. The next feature is monitoring features. Now, monitoring features, this refers to the attention of the listener. The speaker wants the attention to the speaker, and if someone is not attending or someone is not cautious, or you can say someone is not listening carefully to the lecture, the teacher or the speaker may use or call the names of that listener or audience, and such kind of features are monitoring features, which needs the attention of the listener. Then the next feature is interacting features. Now these features are commonly found in face-to-face communication, as spoken communication is a two-way communication, where one is a speaker while the other is the listener. The listener has to respond, and to that again the speaker will respond. So that is a response to the questions or the dialogues which they are communicating. So these are interacting features that we generally found in spoken communication. Then the next feature is no clear sentence boundary. The sentences which are used in spoken communication, these are not clear, not complete, and so there is lack of sentence boundaries. We cannot identify the beginning and the end of the sentences. The next feature is non-fluency. As we know that in spoken communication, the colloquial language is used, which is a native language. So it is most of the time non-fluent. So this feature is also one of the important aspect of spoken communication. Then the next feature is absence of punctuation marks. Punctuation marks, you may take the example of full stop, comma, hyphen, exclamatory mark, capitalization, etc., etc. So such indicators are completely absent in spoken communication. So this is one of the important features. And the last feature is simple sentence structure. In spoken communication, the speaker uses simple sentences. Now, if we take the example of a telephonic communication, you might observe that by uttering a single word, the communication goes on. So, single word, it can be a meaningful sentence for the listener because it conveys the message, and there is a communication between the speaker and the listener. So, the simple sentences are mostly used by the speaker and the listener in spoken communication. So these are some of the important features of spoken mode. Now let us see the features of written mode. You can see here that the features of written mode are exactly opposite to spoken mode. Here the first feature is explicitness, which is exactly opposite to spoken mode. Now we have discussed that body language is used in spoken communication, but in written communication there is no any need of using the body language. So it is highly explicit. The second feature that we can say is the use of formal language. The language which is used in written communication is highly formal. It is standard, it is official. It depends upon the relationship. So the next feature is no monitoring features. Here, as we know that in written communication we do not have to attend and we do not need attention of the listener, as there is no any face-to-face communication. So it doesn't require the monitoring features as well as interacting features. So you can say here that in written communication monitoring features and interacting features are completely absent. But if we consider spoken communication, these two features are important. So these are exactly opposite to spoken communication. The next feature is absence of repetitiveness. Here we have seen in spoken communication we can see repetitiveness, but here in written discourse you are not allowed to use repetitions. So this is one of the important features. Then there is presence of clear sentence boundary, exactly opposite to spoken communication. Here we can identify the beginning of the sentence and the end of the sentence. So there is presence of clear sentence boundaries. The sentence ends with a full stop. So it has a boundary. So you can easily identify that this is the end of the sentence. Then the next feature is fluency. As the language is formal, the language is standard, the language is official, it is highly fluent. So it has fluency. Then there is presence of punctuation marks. Now, as in written discourse, we must have to pay attention towards the punctuation marks. Every punctuation mark has a meaning. You can take an example of a comma. It means a pause. Full stop. That is the end of a sentence. So you can say here that these punctuation marks are focused in written communication. And the last feature is complex sentence structure. In the sentences, complexity is seen. In any kind of written document, you can find that there is presence of complex structure of a sentence. It means there is presence of phrase within phrase structure or clause within clause structure. One or two or more than two clauses are united together to form one single sentence, and that is complexity. So these are some of the important features of written note. So you can now differentiate between spoken and written note. Now let us move towards the tenor, the second part of the discourse. Before going towards that, we will have some examples of spoken mode and written mode. For spoken mode, you can take the example of conversation. It may be a conversation between a student and a teacher. It can be a conversation between a husband and a wife. It can be a conversation between two intimate friends, two colleagues, or teacher and so many students. So you can take any type of conversation. Then the second example, that is a lecture of a sermon, that is a speech delivered by a father in the church. You can also take an example of any television ad. That can be a fine example of spoken communication. You can take an example of a radio news. That can be also one of the fine example of spoken word. And you can take any informal conversation as an example of a spoken word. Now we'll see some examples of written word. You can take the example of formal or informal letter. You might are familiar with letter writing, where you might have studied official and informal letter writing. So these can be the examples of written note. Any kind of report, project report, documentary, news report or manuscript. These can be the fine examples of written note. Now let us move towards the second part of this topic, that is tenor, the tenor of the discourse. First of all, we will see what is the definition of the tenor. Here we can say tenor, it refers to the language of the discourse. It can be identified on the basis of the language used. The language used in the discourse. It can be a spoken discourse. It can be a written discourse. We have to remember here that the tenor of the discourse, it is always fixed. You can say that the tenor of the spoken discourse is fixed and the tenor of the written discourse is also fixed. It never changes. So let us move forward towards the features of tenor. First of all, we will see the features of tenor of spoken discourse. Like the mode, tenor also has some specific feature with the help of which we can identify that this is the tenor of the spoken word or spoken discourse. So there are three features with the help of which we can identify that this is the tenor of the spoken discourse. The first feature that we generally find in spoken discourse is informal language. As we know that tenor, it refers to the language. So you can say a spoken discourse tenor has an informal language. The second feature personal, and the third feature impolite. So the language of the spoken discourse has three features: informal, personal and impolite. So let us see how we can identify these three features with examples. The first feature, informal, it can be identified with the presence of simple sentence structure in the discourse. The second feature that you can find out, the colloquial vocabulary, the native vocabulary that can be found in spoken discourse. It rises towards informal language. The second feature is personal, where the language, it has personal references, such as there is use of first person pronouns. There may be also use of second person pronouns, and there is also use of monosyllabic words. So you can say that all these are the fine examples of identifying the personal language of spoken discourse. And the third feature is impolite language. Now how we can identify this impoliteness? That there is presence of active voice structure. Active voice, where we can say the sentence, it begins with the subject. The focus is on subject. So you can say that these are the three important features of the tenor of spoken discourse, and it remains same forever. may be any kind of discourse in the spoken form, but the features remain same. That is informal, personal and impolite. Now let us move towards written tenor. Now, exactly opposite to the spoken form, we will see that these features are present here in written communication. The first feature that the tenor of written discourse is formal language. The second feature is impersonal language, and the third feature is polite language. Now, how we can identify this formal, impersonal and polite language? First we will see formal. The formal language, how we can identify it? The complex sentence structure is present in the written discourse. So if there is complexity, you can say that the language is formal. There is presence of standard vocabulary. The classical vocabulary is used. It signifies that the language is formal. The second feature is impersonal. Here, impersonal. This language, it can be identified with the help of third person pronouns. You can also say that there is presence of polysyllabic words. Now, with the help of these two features, you can identify that this is impersonal language. The third feature is polite. How we can identify the polite language? Here we can say that there is presence of passive voice. Passive voice where the focus is on the object. The object is important. So you can say that the features of the written tenor is formal, impersonal and polite. Got it? And it will remain same forever. It will never change. Okay? Now let us move forward towards the last part of the topic, that is the domain of the discourse. First of all, we will see what is the domain. The definition of the domain of the discourse is where you can say that the domain refers to generally the field of the discourse. It describes the functions of the language used in the discourse. It can be a spoken discourse, it can be a written discourse. It is classified according to the functions of the language. So now let us see what are the different types of domain. Now there are 6 types of domain, or you can say the fields. The first is advertisement. The second is law. The third is literature. Fourth is religion. Fifth is journalism. And the sixth is conversation. Now we have to see what these fields refer to. As you are already familiar with advertisement, all of you know, all of you may observe, may notice these kinds of advertisements. You might see in a TV that there are so many advertisers, and these advertisements are nothing but the examples of the domain of advertisement. If we consider the second field, law, which refers to some judicial matters, you can take the example of a divorce. You can also take an example of a tender notice or any kind of legal notice. The third is literature. You are all familiar with literature as you are the student of literature. It refers to any kind of literary works. It can be a poem, it can be a prose passage. So you are familiar with that, and you better know. You can identify it. The fourth is religion. Now it is also familiar to you that these kind of fields, it refer to the religious aspects. It can be having the reference with the religious activities. Suppose a person goes to a temple. It is a religious activity according to their religion. Whatever religion they have, they perform the religious activities. The next is journalism. This kind of field, it refers to the news reports. The news reports that we read in the newspapers. This goes to the field of journalism. And the last is conversation. Conversation, where it refers to the communication. It can be a spoken communication. It can be a written communication. So you can say here that mostly the conversation, it refers to spoken communication, two-way communication, or you can say face-to-face communication, with the help of which you can express your feelings or share your ideas. Now let us move towards our last part, that is whatever we have discussed in this topic today. Let us summarize what we have seen. As I have told you that this topic, it is divided into three parts, where we have seen the mood of the discourse, the tenor of the discourse, and the domain of the discourse. In the first part, we have seen two types of modes, spoken and written, and we have also seen the difference between the spoken and written mode. In the second part, we have seen the tenor of the discourse, where we have seen the features of spoken discourse and the features of written discourse, along with their examples. And we have also seen that how these features are fixed for spoken and written tenor. And in the last part, we have seen the domain, where we have seen the definition of the domain and different types of domain, along with their functions of language and the examples of the domain. So I think it is clear for you, as it will give you some idea to identify the mood, tenor, and domain of the discourse. So with hope that you all will understand this and you will enjoy this lecture. Thank you. Thank you very much.